everyone, a very warm welcome to Startup Street. I'm Ritu Singh and with me is Aishwarya Anand from the Delhi studio. Here are the headlines that we're tracking today. Cab aggregator Ola Cabs lays off employees from some of its verticals as a part of restructuring exercise. While the company did not disclose the number of employees affected, 200 people have been asked to leave as per a report. Now, there are roles which are now redundant. We will continue making new hires in engineering and design, including senior talent in our three priority areas, says an Ola spokesperson to CNBC-TV18.
Rural commerce tech platform VCart raises $18 million in a Series A funding round led by Asia Impact. NAB Ventures Fund Dexterity also participated in the round.
The Bombay High Court directs bike taxi and auto aggregator Rapido to shut operations in Maharashtra effective immediately, as the startup is yet to receive a license to operate from the state government.
Sequoia Capital lowers management fees in its two venture funds as it braces for a slower investment environment. The changes in the fee structure allows limited partners in Sequoia's crypto and ecosystem funds launched early last year to pay management fees based on capital deployed, says Reuters.
Apple CEO Tim Cook requests and receives a pay cut of 40% after a shareholder vote. Now, his annual compensation now stands at $49 million.
China is set to allow Didi Global's ride-hailing and other apps back on domestic app stores as soon as next week, Reuters reported. The lifting of the new user ban and app resumption for its flagship ride-hailing services and other businesses could take place before January 22.
Crypto.com to cut 20% of its workforce. This comes after Coinbase Global and UOB announced their plans to lay off about 20% of their staff. As per Reuters, Genesis too had cut jobs equating to 30% of its workforce.
Well, those were the headlines we were tracking for you this evening. Now, taxi aggregator Rapido has suspended its operations in Maharashtra starting from 1 p.m. today. This after the Bombay High Court ordered the company to suspend all services including food delivery, auto rickshaw and bike taxi in the state till 20th January. The High Court's ban comes on account of the company operating without a license. Ashmit Kumar joins us with more. Ashmit?
Rapido, which offers bike taxi services, suffered a huge setback at the hands of the Bombay High Court. Keep in mind, they had moved the Bombay High Court to challenge the non-issuance of a license by the government of Maharashtra, and that has in fact proved to be an Achilles heel. The reason being, the Bombay High Court today took note of the fact that if the license has not been issued, how exactly is Rapido offering services in the state of Maharashtra? That in fact led to a series of stern questions being posed by the Bombay High Court as to how an app such as Rapido is offering these services without a formal license, without a legal framework, without guidelines having been issued. This in fact was also the position taken by the Maharashtra government, that even before that question can be gone into on issuance of license, it's important that Rapido discontinues its services. So towards that end, Rapido has today undertaken before the Bombay High Court that no further services will be provided in the state of Maharashtra till January 20th. That's the date of the next hearing. However, that's only one half of the story. The other half, of course, is the legal framework. There is none so far as bike taxi services are concerned, and towards that end, questions were again posed to the Maharashtra government by the Bombay High Court as to why there is a state of limbo, why it's taking so much time, why the delay. The answer that the Maharashtra government has given is that a committee has been constituted that will be going into the subject of coming out with a free legal framework, a set of guidelines that will dictate how these bike taxi services are to operate. So those questions remain unanswered. January 20th is when the Bombay High Court will resume hearing in this case.
Ashmit, thanks very much for joining us with that. Now, moving on, D2C home and sleep solutions company WakeFit has raised $40 million, or about 320 crore rupees, in Series D funding. Now, this round was led by InvestCorp with participation from all existing investors, including Sequoia Capital, World Invest and SIG. WakeFit plans to use the incoming funding to work on its delivery operations and factory and expand to more cities. In addition, the company said these funds will boost its manufacturing and supply chain capabilities and ramp up hiring across various levels. Joining me now to talk about this latest fundraise and the company's plans to scale up operations is Chaitanya Ramalingaura, who's the co-founder and director of WakeFit. And also joining us is Varun Lal, who's the partner at InvestCorp. Aishwarya, my colleague from Delhi, also joins in. Chaitanya and Varun, thank you for being with us here. Chaitanya, let me start with you. Tell us about this fundraise, what you plan to do with these $40 million, specifically in terms of expansion, both in products and geographies.
Thanks for having us. What we've done at WakeFit is to build a very fundamentally solid company, which does not rely on external funding just for survival and day-to-day operations. So the same DNA is continuing. Basically, what we are doing with these funds is threefold. Number one, we are continuing to consolidate our market leadership position in the sleep space. So we are by far the leading online mattress company. So can we continue that leadership position and become overall in the industry number one over the coming few quarters? Number two, we want to continue to invest in the supply chain. We currently have the ability to deliver our products in about the furniture products in about 23 cities and mattress and sleep products all over the country. So can you continue to strengthen and go deeper and be present where the consumers want us to be present? That's the second aspect of it. The third aspect of it is to continue to invest in the brand building activities. Despite being a 7-year-old company, despite getting towards 1,000 crore revenue this year, and that too very close to being profitable, there's a huge part of India that probably does not know about WakeFit and its products. So can we continue to build that brand and be part of the consideration set whenever somebody thinks about buying any product in the sleep or home space? That's the dream, Ritu.
Okay. All right, Chaitanya, close to being profitable, you said. Let me actually put that question to Kunal, your investor. Kunal, investors are being doubly cautious in writing checks in the current environment. What made you bet on WakeFit, and what kind of opportunity do you see for growth in the sleep industry?
So, Ritu, good evening, and thank you for having me. Just a small correction. I am Varun. Anyway, to answer your question on our investment
I'm so
thesis
sorry.
for
I'm so
WakeFit-
sorry. Yes, Varun, go on.
No worries at all. It just happens. So going back to WakeFit and our thesis on WakeFit, right? Look, at InvestCorp, we have a very strong thesis on two core themes. One is the fact that Indian consumption is increasingly becoming omnichannel, not just digital, not just offline, but omnichannel. And second, there are large sectors, especially on the consumption side, which are unorganized, where there is great scope for the uptrading from unbranded to branded. Now, if you look at WakeFit, it operates in two segments: sleep solutions, which is mattress, furniture, or the home decor space. These are very large addressable markets, again, very unorganized. And what Ankit and Chaitanya have done, or WakeFit has built a market-leading brand. They've built great distribution. They've built a brand that is trusted by consumers, and they offer a very differentiated proposition. Now, these are things that align very, very closely with the criteria or the investment choices we at InvestCorp would like to make. In addition, and most significantly, actually, as far as InvestCorp is concerned, in Ankit and Chaitanya, we have two first-generation founders who've demonstrated great execution capability. They've been able to innovate and, more importantly, build a very capital-efficient business model. If you put all this together, it makes for a great investment story. And we're really happy to be sort of part of this journey as these guys scale up. They, get to a profitable scale, they cement market leadership, and become a publicly listed company.
Now, Chaitanya, quickly jumping in, Ishwarya here. Like Kunal said that, you're building a capital-efficient company. You're also hoping to close FY23 with rupees 950 crore of revenue and FY24 with rupees 1,200 crore. Tell us what is going to be the key revenue driver for you.
Yeah, like Varun mentioned, one of the things that you'll see is that we are three companies rolled into one. That's how we have sort of evolved. We started off as a mattress company, expanded into accessories, and now today we have home decor and furnishing as the third large business unit. So that has become a blessing in disguise, because each of these categories behaves differently, and each of these categories is in a very different stage of maturity. So mattress, which is the 7-year-old mature, very steady business, is still growing at a fair clip of about 45 to 50% year on year, and the unit economics are very stable. It's EBITDA positive as a business, and it's a very steady business where we are converting both unorganized buyers to the organized segment, and also taking away some share from the other organized players, because we are a new age company that is able to innovate faster. So that is still on a large base. It's still at about 45-50%. Accessories, people might underestimate this business, but it's a great way to actually activate risk-averse consumers who want to try the WakeFit promise on a small budget of 800-900,000 rupees with a bed sheet or a pillow or a comforter, and then come back for a hero product a few months later. So this is again on a base of nearly 100 crore, is growing at about 30-40% year on year. Now coming to furniture, I'm not sure if you're aware, WakeFit has set up India's largest furniture factory. And given that it's a smaller base of about 200-250 crore, that business is growing at nearly 80-90% year on year. So when you put all of these three things together, the growth comes from all three, but at different clips, and from an online and offline split. Over a period of time, we see that the offline stores, which are currently only about 14-15, are going to be grown to about 100 stores in about 20 to 25 cities over the next 24 months. So that also will become a very strong contributor to the revenue.
Well, Chaitanya, we did visit your furniture factory, so we do know about your furniture plans and how that's already contributing about 25% to your revenues and your plans to go public in the next 24 months. So we wish you all the very best for that, and Varun as well for joining us here to talk about his investment in WakeFit. Both of you, thank you very much, and I'll toss it back to Aishwarya in Delhi.
It's time for a break, but coming up, a special chat with Padmaja Ruparel, co-founder of Indian Angel Network, on our special segment Future Female Forward, about bridging gender disparity in startup ecosystem. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Startup Street on our special segment, Future Female Forward. Today we have a guest who is easily one of the founders of the Indian startup ecosystem. She has mentored founders over the last 2 decades and co-founded many of the relevant entrepreneurial institutions, besides being an active angel investor herself. She has been awarded as one of the top 50 most powerful women in business by Fortune India for 4 years, is listed in Forbes India's Women Power Trailblazers and 30 most powerful women in India by Business Today for 3 years running. The Women Economic Forum recognized her with its Women of the Decade in Investment Banking Award. Joining me now is Padmaja Ruparel, the co-founder of Indian Angel Network and founding partner of the Indian Angel Network Fund. Padmaja, many thanks for joining us today on this very special segment. Let's get straight to the point. While the gap between women and men in the startup ecosystem is narrowing, it is still a wide one. Firstly, what has changed over the last many years? And secondly, what are some of the aspects that need to be addressed in this context?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on the show, Shruti. Delighted to join. I think you've started right off the bat. You're right. I think over the years, we've seen that gap narrowing, but the issue is really that the gap was very wide and still remains very wide. We are still seeing women entrepreneurs at under 20% overall, and they are raising a much lower percentage in terms of funding. I think there are a few things that we can surely do. One of the things that we've seen over the last year or 2 years is the fact is there are women entrepreneurs who've really succeeded, who've not only built large unicorns, but also gone listed. I think that's the iconic role models that have started to emerge. And the more we celebrate and the more we can sort of project them will only help, because then others will get inspired. The second thing I think is very important is women don't have complete ownership on their financial assets. And in some ways, I think we have to address that, because unless they can sort of have the power, not only in name, but in actual power to use the money and create liquidity, which they can then plow back into their companies, I think that is very important. And I think the last piece, which is very important, women who have succeeded, if you go back, scratch a little bit under the surface, you will see that there's been a supportive spouse and a supportive family. I think in some ways, again, this needs to be brought to the fore.
A supporting ecosystem is a must, Padmaja. But tell me, at Indian Angel Network, how many pitches, do you get a month, and how many are women-led?
We get about 1,000 pitches a month, somewhere there. And I think we have been seeing an upward trend in terms of percentage, which is great. We were getting somewhere around 12 to 14, 15% about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I think we are now seeing a higher number. We are closer to 20%, which is great.
Padmaja, there is also a dearth of women in investing as well. Very few names come to my mind. So what needs to change there as well?
No, you're absolutely right. You couldn't hit the nail better. If you look at senior professionals in the VC industry, right, in China, that's about 15%. If you look at India, that's about 7%. If we assume that we have about 10,000 angels in the country, there are only 1% that are women investors. And out of that, I think there will be only 0.3 or 0.35 or 0.4, which are really actively investing. So you're absolutely right. There is a huge dearth of women investors. What will really get this going is in the investing business, you can't just get up and start a fund. I think there needs to be a track record, there needs to be experience on all of good things that we talk about. So in funds, I think there needs to be a conscious onboarding of women investment professionals. For instance, at IAN, almost 50% of our team is women, right? And it is these women who will, young ladies who will get into the ecosystem, start at a lower, start looking at companies, diligencing them, start growing them, and then they will start getting into senior roles or partner levels and raise a fund and do all the good things. And I'll be one of the happiest if any of my team members grows into starting a fund. I think it's the greatest thing.
Before I let you go, 16 January is National Startup Day. In fact, Indian Angel Network has seeded and grown startups with an investment of over 900 crore rupees, which now have a collective market valuation of over $9 billion. As we all know, 2022 was a tough year for late-stage growth startups, but early-stage funding has been an outlier. How do you see 2023 turning out for the ecosystem, and what advice do you have for founders as they grapple economic headwinds?
I would like to congratulate the government, through your channel, that 16 January 2016 was a milestone day for the startup ecosystem. It really put a spotlight on this ecosystem, and as you know, it's becoming center stage. Yes, at IAN, we did announce our 1,000 crore fund, and this is aligned with IAN's vision of really investing in 500 startups with 5,000 crores and creating 5 lakh jobs by 2030. And I think this is because job creation is very critical. What I would really suggest to entrepreneurs, I think in the early stage, there is really no downturn. I mean, investors are investing. They're looking for companies which are building high growth revenue lines, but are either profitable or on a path to profitability. So please build dhandhas. Just having a revenue line is not enough. Have a top line and a bottom line. Think cash flow, think profitability, think things like gross margins, contribution margins, unit economics. And I think good companies will always be able to raise money.
On that note, it's time for us to wrap up our conversation. Many thanks, Padmaja, for joining us on Startup Street today.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you.
Well, that was Padmaja Ruparel sharing her insights on what more needs to be done to bridge the gender disparity in the startup ecosystem. Moving on, this year's Auto Expo saw a whole host of startups showcase all their new range of products. CNBC-TV18's Danish Anand caught up with the management of a few of these companies. Take a look.
Well, the Auto Expo is back after 3 long years, and the Motor Show 2023 is not just about car companies or commercial vehicle players showcasing their products and concepts, but the Motor Show 2023 is also about Indian startups that are spearheading innovation in the electric vehicle segment. Well, yes, at the Motor Show 2023, there are over 20 Indian startups that have showcased several electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers and electric motorcycles, and the kind of innovation that these Indian startups are showing, they are also far ahead of many old established players. Well, one such company that we came across is What Visit Mobility, which is famously known for its Joy e-bikes, and at the Auto Expo 2023, the company has not only showcased an electric two-wheeler, electric three-wheeler, but the company also showcased a concept electric motorcycle which is made out of a hard material. No matter how many hammers that you put on the body, it will not break.
Specialty of this bike is this is unbreakable bike. The material which is used over here, if you can see, it will not get damaged. So usually the normal wear and tear which bike has, we have avoided that.
So when can we see this bike coming to life? When do you actually plan to move from the prototype stage to the final stage?
So the final stage would be completed by 15th of February. And I can oversee that by end of February, we will be starting with mass production.
So talking about the entire electric two-wheeler market right now, including both scooters and motorcycles, we are seeing that many new players are entering, and you have been in this industry from quite some time. So how do you look at the new challenge that is popping up?
Yes, now in electric ecosystem, there's a huge challenge which we are facing, because we are completely dependent on imports. But in these 3 models which we have launched today, that is Rockefeller, Mios and the e-rickshaw, these are completely made in India products, which we took around 18 to 20 months to develop.
Well, an Ahmedabad-based startup called Matter is leading the innovation in the electric motorcycle segment, and the biggest USP is the gearbox. Well, yes, Matter motorcycles will come with the gearbox, which is usually seen in ICE motorcycles. We spoke to Mohanlal Bhai, the founder and CEO of Matter. Listen in to this exclusive conversation.
What we have behind us is a product we launched in November, and today we are showcasing a 6 kilowatt hour variant of the same. And this product is, we're going to be discussing and rather informing the pricing, variants and options available on this product in the next 30 days. Bookings for this will be open this quarter, and deliveries are going to be starting in the summer for this product.
But one of the things that I noticed in one of your bikes was the gearbox. Till now, we haven't seen any bike with any electric bike with a gearbox. So what is the entire rationale behind this?
So behind the gearbox is it's all about the experience and the control that a person wants on a motorcycle. Scooters have historically moved away from gearboxes. They have CVTs or other types of transmissions, but motorcycles allow you that freedom and control to choose how you shift the torque control that you want. And this is something that you experience once and you will never forget this experience. It's that kind of an experience. And that is essential to motorcycling. Motorcycling is emotion driven a lot, and that is where we found it very necessary to give back control of the powertrain to the user.
Well, at this year's Auto Expo, there are quite a few companies that are showcasing their products in the electric motorcycle segment, and one such company is Pune-based Tork Motors. Well, Tork Motors has showcased 2 of its products, not only the products, but the company has also showcased a concept as well as its charging infrastructure. We caught up with Kapil Chelke, who's the founder of Tork Motors, who feels that the competition is really good for the industry.
So there are about 2 products now. So there are, from a motorcycle standpoint, we have the Kratos R, which is refreshed, so complete new colors, new graphics and all that. We also have the Kratos X, which is unveiled. We also have charging stations, and we call it the T-Net. We also have a powertrain that we actually supply for 3-wheeler manufacturing or 3-wheeler industry. So I think all the products are here from our end.
So like certain products have already been launched and certain concepts you have showcased. So when can we see these concepts come to life?
So the Kratos X will actually be sort of launched in June 2023 this year. And then we'll start delivery from Pune, and that's the plan. And it's a completely made in India product, so it takes time.
After visiting the startup pavilion at the Auto Expo, one can say that if India wants to achieve the net zero carbon emission goals by the year 2070, then more and more companies need to do more on the clean and green energy front. Well, with the union budget just around the corner, the startups are hoping that whatever support the sector is getting from the government, it must continue, and the startups are also hoping to hear on some kind of an announcement regarding the charging infrastructure so that this sector can be boosted further. With video journalist Rudya Patra, this is Danish Anand for CNBC-TV18.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and update coming up on the other side.